It ought to be the player's plan, right? And how do we facilitate learning for our players? Is it by taking a drill, putting a hole there, installing a funnel and pouring the information inside their head? Or is it drawing things out of them? So this is gonna operate on different levels because I'm gonna treat you like players and I'm gonna treat you like coaches that are learning to work with players in different ways. So there are different learning theories that will be invoked during this time. And this is something I wish tennis teaching professional organizations spent more time on learning theory, the practical learning theories that help people out. So we're going to use some prior knowledge. We're going to use the zone of proximal development. We're going to have the Socratic method. And we're going to have choices, decision making, right? There's a certain level of trust that you have to give me in a short while. So look at this face, and I want you to fully trust this face right now. And come with me on a very interesting journey. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some different topics, and then you tell me what you wanna learn. Because I'm gonna cover different topics, and you'll see how the athlete-centered approach, it can be taught and can be used. So we can work on getting to the net, visual training, on identifying your ideal strategy, do doubles for 3-0, 3-5 players, or doubles for 4-0, 4-5 players. How to teach a shot in a private lesson. Now when I say shot, I mean shot, not stroke. Do core engagement. So talk to me, what appeals to you?
Visual.
Okay, you want to do the visual. All right, so that's how it works. All right.
Doubles 3-0.
Okay. No, the voting's over and the selection has been made. It's visual training for tennis. What do you know about vision on a tennis court?
Well, I know from your book you have pure dextral and cross dextral.
Okay, good. So see that? So we have some prior knowledge. How many people are familiar with pure dextral and cross dextral? Okay, so that would function as prior knowledge if the whole group had the prior knowledge. Okay, so but doesn't that make you curious? He knows something that you don't. It makes you kind of want to know what it is, right? So prior knowledge is a cue. So you're the student and you're the coach at the same time. I'm not working really hard. He did the work. So what else do you know about vision on a tennis court?
Listening.
What about listening?
You gotta listen to the coach.
Okay, so you have to listen to the coach so that, how does that help your vision? Help me. The listening helps the visual how?
To visualize what you're saying.
Okay, all right. So turning what the coach says into word pictures, right? Now, what does that tell you about how a coach should speak?
They should be very visual with their body language or...
Okay, all right. So they should make word pictures.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when you use word pictures that players can easily translate into an action, then you're on the right track. But if you are saying things that are very difficult to translate, then you've got some issues. All right. Tell me what else you know about visual training for tennis. What do you know about what are some of the things that people commonly say on a tennis court to help players play better?
Watch the ball.
Watch the ball. Okay, that's interesting. So that's one of the most common things that you hear people say, right? And what's another one?
Play the ball.
Right? You also hear keep your eye on the ball. Ken DeHart, makes a good farce out of keep your eye on the ball because, see, literally it makes no sense. Now, is watch the ball really the best way to see the ball? And the answer really is no, because what does watch the ball mean, really?
Watch.
right? Isn't it sort of obvious without really teaching something? Come on out. What's your name?
Mercedes.
Mercedes. All right, come on up to the net here for a second. All right, and touch the net. Okay. With your finger. Take 2 steps back. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to toss the ball back and forth. Okay. So, what's the value? And we're going to bounce it to each other. What's the value visually of doing this exercise? Okay, so coaches, I'm gonna coach you for a second. I'm going to implore you not to be the silent spectator. So here's an interesting thing. What I want to implore you to do is draw out of your students something by asking questions, making them think, making them interact, owning their learning experience. See, some of you are acting like I'm supposed to drill a hole in your head and pour the information in. I'm trying to draw out of you knowledge and interaction and bring the sum wisdom of everybody together to improve the whole teaching situation. So what's the value, question, of tossing the ball back and forth like so for the specific visual training?
Tracking the ball.
Say again?
Tracking the ball, the bounce and the catch.
Okay, so you're tracking the ball, right? Is this stressful to you, Mercedes?
No.
Okay, so part of it is it's an easy eye warm-up that has a low amount of anxiety attached. In school teaching, there's this thing called the affective filter, which means that as your anxiety level goes up, the amount that you can learn goes down. So I start absolutely every lesson like this. So with Christine, my regular Friday lesson, we do this and we talk about her job and we talk about how are the kids, and we do that, and then we go, hey, what are we working on today? Right now we're gonna move back here. All right. Do you know what racket means? Here, come up a little closer. What does racket mean? This astounds me. Nobody knows what racket means. 99% of people who play tennis don't know that rack in Egyptian means palm. Right, so this is a larger hand for catching and tossing. You hear a lot about eye-hand coordination, right? So we're gonna toss the ball, Mercedes, back and forth. So catch the ball in the middle of your strings. Let's see how well you can do there. Oh, I like that. Okay, good. Now, Mercedes, when's the best time to see the ball initially?
Off your racket.
Off my racket. Okay, good. All right. Why is it important to see the ball off the opponent's racket? Let's move to the scene. Yeah.
Depending on like how they hit you want to see like okay. Like you can see when you see them in top spin, you will tell you okay, top spin, so I'm gonna visualize how I'm gonna just.
Isn't it more fun to listen to him talk?
Yes.
Your students will appreciate hearing from the other kids in class. And see now, I mean, do you feel like an expert now?
Yeah.
So you want your students to feel like experts or victims? Okay, so draw out the expertise. And then how hard did I have to work while he was talking? Well, I had to shut up for a second. Right? See, I think coaches a lot of times are in love with the sound of their own voice. So that's why they don't let other people talk. All right, now, here we go. We're going to go here. All right. Mercedes, how many different kinds of visual skills do you know of?
Oh, I don't know. My eyes are getting blind.
So I'll take that to mean none.
None.
Is that zero? You have zero? You know of zero visual skills? All right. So anybody, what are the visual skills that you know of? What's that? Okay. So there's scanning, which is what happens when you see the ball on the other side, right? You're scanning to the other side, and when you see that moment, your brain fills in, your brain gathers a lot of information, because then maybe you saw the way the stroke was developed, maybe you saw that there was a mishit, right? There's all this information that goes into your eye right there, right? Vic Braden said that by the time the ball is out of the racket by that far, your brain with 95% accuracy can predict where it's going to land. What are the variables? Wind, heaviness of the conditions, speed of the court, right? But if you don't attend to that moment, you don't get that information, your ability to predict where it's going is not as great, okay? So you scan to the other side. What's the next thing that comes after scanning? The ball comes out, now it's flying over there. All right, when the ball's flying, does it look like a perfectly clear object, or does it look more like a blur? Blur, okay? So what's the skill that goes with tracking the blur? Oh, I said it, darn it. That was stupid. Bad teacher. It's called tracking. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good. Get some good humor happening. So one of the most important things that people don't realize is how powerful your brain is at reconciling the blur. And what's the worst thing you can possibly say to someone that will inhibit their ability to reconcile the blur is keep your eye on the ball or watch the ball. Because if you're trying to have pinpoint vision of the ball, then your eyes will shake as it happens and you'll have a gray out in your vision. I'm sure everybody can relate to that ball that looked like it was going to be a perfect sitter. You know, that you blasted into the net and you're like, how did I lose sight of that? Because you had a gray out moment. Let's get into eye dominance. All right, what do you know about eye dominance? Your dominant eye does how much of your vision? Okay, take a wild percentage guess.
70.
Okay, 70, 80, something like that. Okay, so your dominant eye does most of your seeing. So do you want to use your dominant eye to do most of your seeing? Good. All right. But some people don't. All right. Now, what's in the way of your dominant eye that gets in the way of you seeing? Okay, that's an interesting answer.
Quality of your vision in the dominant eye.
Your nose is in the way. So I'm left eye dominant. Why did I struggle so mightily on my backhand for years? Because of my nose. So a coach taught me about eye dominance, and so I learned to keep my dominant eye looking forward longer, and voila, backhand works. So this is partly explains why some people are really good on the forehand and not so good on the backhand, and vice versa, because their dominant eye is blocked from seeing the ball that way. All right, let's do an eye dominance test. So here's the eye dominance test. Take a little circle, both eyes open. The only rule is no cheating. Make a tiny circle there, Oscar. All right, tiny little circle, both eyes open. Put the ball in the middle of your little circle. Do you see it with both eyes open? Now close your left eye. Do you still see it? Okay, now open both eyes again and close your right eye. Do you still see it? So the eye that you see it with is your dominant eye. Okay, and that's where pure dextral and cross dextral comes in. And my pet theory is that we don't teach pure dextral people well enough because the instructions we give them are wrong. All right, so pure dextral means that you're right eye dominant and right-handed. Cross dextral, which I am, left eye dominant, right-handed. Somebody said that they believe that the majority of tennis players are cross dextral. because it's a little easier to follow the directions that tennis coaches give. All right, so the same thing is true on the other side, right? Left hand, left eye dominant, left-handed, pure right eye. So if it's a cross, then you're cross dextral. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. All right, so how many people are right eye dominant? And who's left eye dominant? Okay, how many people are their dominant hand is different than their dominant eye? And usually it's about 50-50 in most groups. This is what I'm finding, okay? All right, now, what are the implications? Is this, there's research that showed that with another sport, and I'm not gonna say what sport, but with another sport, if you are cross-dextral, then it makes sense, to focus on the ball from the bounce into your frame, right? That's the longest period of time that you have to see the ball, right? So the ball, flies off the opponent's racket. It's slowing down because of wind, air pressure, and gravity. And when it hits the ground, it slows down as more than at any other time. And so you have 1/3 of the time to see the ball from the bounce into your frame. So cross-dextral people generally do better if they're focusing on the ball from there to there. But pure dextral people are better served by looking at a place between the bounce and their racket and tracking the ball across their vision into it. So I took this show on the road. I was in Arizona and I had 16 people on the court. Godsend, right? 8 of them were pure dextral, 8 of them were cross dextral. Okay, you ate on those 2 courts, you ate on those 2 courts, and we put everybody through this exercise of, okay, try this, try looking there, and see if that helps you more than trying to focus at the very end. And I get these wow stories. I get, every once in a while somebody's wowed. Most people are helped, at least some, right? But for some people it's an absolute revelation, and this is what you want as a coach. You want to be able to have those revelatory moments. If you're in the practice of customer astonishment, right, then people aren't gonna leave. All right, now, here's another interesting thing. Sometimes you see, pictures of Federer and everybody goes, oh, let's worship Federer, who's probably cross-dextral, as he keeps his head perfectly still and his eye right on the contact point. And then they show another Grand Slam winner, which many people would trade places with, to be this Grand Slam winner. And where are they looking? And then they say, that's bad. And I'm saying, maybe not. They might be pure dextral. That might actually be what they need to be doing, is looking right there. Okay, so thank you. I've decided to fly without a net here. We're tightrope walking and there's no net. So here's the way it's gonna work. I have numerous topics that I can cover here. And this is know the way, go the way, show the way. So I'm going to teach on different levels. I'm going to teach you as though you were players, and then I'm also going to coach you as coaches about how to coach. Okay? So put yourself in the place of the curious student, and then also the coach that's going to act differently after this. Ready? Tell me what you want to do.
That was an overwhelming list.
Was it overwhelming?
It was.
But
I feel overwhelmed.
Something struck you. Get him to the net. Get him to the net. All right. But before we do that, we want to invoke different learning strategies, because one thing that is sorely missing in the teaching of tennis coaches is learning theory. Now, classroom teachers will tell you about prior knowledge. Does anybody know what prior knowledge is? Nobody? Okay. Prior knowledge is when you ask questions of the group to find out what they already know so that you don't bore them to tears. None of you enjoy being told something that you already know. That's universal. So why do I do that? Why do you do that? Okay, so what do you know about getting to the net? What do you need to get to the net?
You need a good approach shot.
You need a good approach shot. What else do you need? What do you know about getting to the net, ma'am? Okay, so you might need a short ball. Can you get to the net after the opponent has hit you a deep ball?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you don't have to have a short ball, right? What else do you need? What else do you know about getting to the net? Yeah.
You need a little bit of confidence.
Yes.
No, this is
Good
part
answer.
of what's missing, Chris. Okay? Do you feel like an expert?
Yeah.
How hard did I work while you were giving your answer?
0.
Okay, so wait a second. Do you hear what I just said? I just asked him how hard was I working while he gave his answer. He feels good. You feel good about him. I didn't insert that knowledge into your head. So you, the students, can make your students feel like the expert and be the teacher, and then they can say the same old stuff over again. And then they don't have to hear from you. And somehow when Chris says it, it just sounds like magic, right? But when Coach Bill says it, it's like, all right, what else do you, so confidence is huge. Okay, what else?
Probably need to tell me why I want to be up there.
Okay, why do you want to go to the net? Why do you want to go to the net? Keith?
He wants to go.
Okay, why do you...
I'm afraid of the ball.
No,
I don't wanna
no,
go to the
okay,
ball.
right, okay. Sean,
Yeah.
Keith's afraid of the net. Why do you and he want to go to the net?
I want to force my opponent to make mistakes.
Okay, good. I want to go because if you're any good at all, you're going to win 60% of the points. Right? Oh, let's see. What percentage of matches are won by the person who wins one more point than the other one?
100.
Isn't it like 95%? No, one more point. It's like 95%. It's some really awful number, right? So having a way to increase your winning percentage on points is huge. All right, go to the net, go to the baseline, please, because we're going to start coming to the, yeah, get over there. Yeah, you said you want
You
to
picked the
get to
topic. You got to do it.
Yeah, approach shot and then a volley. Hey, come on, slackers, let's go. Man, it's like,
Bill is tough. No.
no, do it. No, do it again. Hit an approach shot or come to the net. No. Okay, so who's running this? Okay, come on. Who's running this drill? That's right. I'm running the drill. Okay. Coaches, what am I not doing right now?
Talking.
About what? What am I not talking about?
Not anything right now.
I'm
About
not telling
anything.
them anything. Okay, so there's this thing called the affective filter, right? Which classroom teachers know, and that is, stay there, you're going to need some more minutes. Anxiety is a huge problem. The more anxious your players are, the less they will learn. So if I come in and on the first shot I'm like, right? Then I've ruined it. So I gotta let them get comfortable. So I'll give them a couple of minutes to get comfortable moving forward, right? Okay, and then I'll observe. We need to observe what our players do, right? What if they're just all perfect and you just go, wow, that's amazing, and then you shift into fine-tuning mode, right? And then if some of them don't know what they're doing, then you can teach that one thing, all right? So I'm coaching a team, and everybody on the team is a USTA ranked junior. They're all top 100 in NorCal, and we do this, and 25% of the approach shots are going cross court. So I get them to that. Come on up to the net, right? Let's pretend like you're the kids that just got done hitting your approach shots cross court. I'm like, hey, raise your hand if you go to an academy. And you ever been to an academy? Pretend like you do. Raise your hand. Okay, all right. Did they teach you how to play tennis? Right? Because I'm going to teach you how to play tennis. All right. Have you ever seen a truck? Okay, good. No, and teenagers will be like, a truck? What is a truck? I'm like, no, a truck, like an 18-wheeler on the freeway, right? You ever seen a truck? They're like, yeah. Why does Coach ask the stupidest questions ever? I'm like, well, if you hit your approach shot cross court, you can drive a truck through the area where they can hit their passing shot. And then they go, oh. All right, so let's get those approach shots down the line. Here we go. All right. Now, there's new info. Is it true? Is it really the best approach? Now, see, this is actually outdated. Because what's the new data say?
Backhand, approach the backhand, they miss more.
From the, come on, Craig O'Shaughnessy time. From inside out forehand to the backhand is the most effective. So we're gonna run around your forehand a little bit and then come in on an approach going that way. All right, here we go. So, good. All right, so you get your forehand against their backhand and come in, and now you're gonna win 63% of those points or more. All right, come to the net again. All right, so what else do you need to do to become successful at the net? Okay, put yourself in the place of your juniors. What's the greatest fears
Well, other than
of
my
twin
twin brother
brother
that's afraid of getting hit by the ball.
Okay, no, wait. That's huge. Getting hit by the ball.
He's
All right.
always been-
Okay. So the kid that's afraid of getting hit by the ball will immediately, with their permission, have a ball thrown at them so they can survive that and they can get past that fear. Because if you're afraid of getting hit by the ball, then you shouldn't be playing good doubles because you're going to get hammered, right? I mean, it doesn't hurt that bad, but you can get a welt. You know, you get hit by a 110-mile-an-hour overhead, you will have a welt for about a month.
I had the rope zone. I took my varsity guys, got them racquetball goggles, rope zoned them, clipped them to the net, and we used the orange ball, and they get the ball right at each other.
Okay, awesome. Chairman, I'm going to reclaim my time. All right, so, thank you. That's very political. All right, so, what's another fear that they have?
If they're not afraid to get hit by the ball, the lob is the most fear.
Okay, good. I've heard enough from you now. Because what we want to do, now see, when you do prior knowledge, then you get the answer gobbler. You got to go, okay, hey, you know what, Keith, you're so
I'm
smart.
Kirk, actually.
Kirk, okay, Kirk. Let's clap for Kirk, right? Kirk's so smart. Okay, but I want to hear from everybody. Now, there's this thing called verbal processing. And I am a slow verbal processor. And so I was always frustrated because I knew the answer, but the kid who could go like that first always won. So shut down the kid that always gets it fastest and give the other kids time to process. So you have slow verbal processors, you have slow visual processors, you have to give them time to see. Okay, so they're afraid of the lob, all right? So if they have a fear of the lob, all right, let's hit some overheads. Let's hit some overheads where you have to move back, right? If you're gonna be good at the net, you better have a good overhead. That's like a third of your game. Once they figure out you can't hit an overhead, then you won't be at the net long.
But I feel like when I feed my kids, at least, like we work on the shot, and they can help for the shot. But I think it's more of the deer in headlights feeling when you run up and you feel like there's all this room around or over you. It's more of the real life process probably than the shot.
Right. And so you have this feeling of the dagger. I got passed, right? So they fear getting passed. They fear getting lobbed. But what do the statistics say? So there are four things that can happen. You hit a winning volley, they pass you, you miss your volley, they miss their passing shot. What happens the most often? Did you hear the four options? Coaches don't like to follow directions. Okay, did you hear the four options? Either you hit a winning volley, they pass you, you miss your volley, they miss the passing shot. What happens most often? They miss the passing shot. tally those. Oh, there's another one where you went to the net and you didn't even have to volley and you won the point. Oh, hey, coach, I like that. Right? You know, you hit good enough approach shots, then you're not even volleying half the time. Right? What's the second most common thing that happens? Huh?
You hit the winning volley.
You miss your volley. Okay, but see, so what? That's another fear. They fear missing their volley. So work with them on volley technique to the point where they're not going to miss as often, and also give them some Teflon so that they can get past looking stupid. Right? The greatest fear of the teenager time immemorial throughout the generations. It doesn't matter if you were, you know, XYZ millennial. All teenagers from all time have always feared looking stupid. Right? Right? She's smiling because she's not that far removed. Okay. So, all right. So, help them understand what their fears are. Give them the competencies to overcome them. And then the thing I want to leave you with is one of my favorite things to do is have them play tiebreakers where the server gets one serve and the returner must come to the net. All right, who can hear me? Raise your hand. Those are my best listeners. Who can hear me now? Raise your hand. Second best listeners. All right, very good. So here's what's going to happen. All right. Do you ever get to choose what you're going to train on a certain day? Really? Maybe that'll change starting today. Today, you get to choose what you're going to train. Okay. So these are your choices. Are you ready? So which one? What sounds the most appealing to you? What was it?
The first one, very first one.
Say what it is.
Identifying the ideal.
Identify your ideal strategy. Okay, awesome. Do you enjoy when people tell you things that you already know? Do you like new stuff? Do you like to learn some new stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But in order to do new stuff, we have to figure out what you already know, right? Okay. So tell me what you know about single strategy. Okay, no. This is for the kids, for the children. We always get an adult. We always get an adult that wants to do the kids' job for them, right? Now, see, here's the thing. You have one opportunity in your life to maximize your cerebral cortex. No, this is true. This is a fact. This is a scientific fact. You are in this time right now where you can maximize how great your brain can be if you can answer questions. Tell me what you know about strategy. Okay, all right, what does that mean? What does it mean to be consistent? Getting every ball back. No, you know what's awesome? Is you stepped in it. I really appreciate that. You really stepped in it, and I like that. So thanks for being brave. Because it takes courage. It takes courage to answer questions, right? Because what's the problem if you answer? You could be wrong. So if you're wrong, and then you get more explanation, then what happens? You learn. Do you know what essay means? Because you write essays, right? Do you know what it means? It means an attempt. It means you tried. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to think some stuff through. Okay, consistency. Right. So it means make all your shots. Always get the ball back, right? So if you had two players and one of them was really powerful and the other one was consistent, who do you think is going to win that? No, I think the powerful player is going to beat the consistent, so-called consistent player because they're going to overpower them. Yeah, no, really, just go with me on this. All right, okay. Now what happens, so what's another way to win? Power, thank you. All right. So let's say you're going to play somebody in your games to be consistent and the other player's overpowering you. What are you going to do? Oh, maybe you'll try to do something to get away from their power, and that's a different strategy. Okay. So one thing people do quite often is they try to play powerfully, but then they get overpowered by people who are more powerful than them. Or they try to play consistently against somebody who's more consistent than them. So you need other ways to play. So what are those other ways to play? Ah, interesting. What happens when you serve and volley?
People are going to get passed.
Okay. Well, you might get passed, but actually they're going to miss their passing shots more than they're going to make them. Or, yeah.
I think you cut down your time.
Ah, you take away time. All right. Who wants to hit?
Oh,
All right, go on that side.
top spin.
This is
Play it
we
out.
do this kind of this drill at the
Top
club.
spin. Oh, sorry, that didn't have top
Call it
spin.
live.
Go back in the other line. You get to stay. Here we go. Top spin. Nice. Slice. Okay, you got. That's one. Okay, top spin. And. Yep. Oh, she got some slice on it. Okay, new champions. Go on that side. All right, top spin, slice. Normally I feed sooner, but then the kids start whining. All right, let's slice it. Nice. That's out of there, so you're gone. Here you go, step up. You get to stay because he missed. Okay, top spin. Okay, yeah, you have to slice your forehand. I would say it was a little risky. I'd say be a little more solid, like you're volleying over there. So that's one.
You make them sick.
Yeah, slice it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you're gone. Wait, both of you are gonna go this time. It's kind of strange rules here. All right, so. All right, very good. Everybody come on over here. Everybody come on over. Now, there's only so much you can do in such a short period of time, but wasn't it disruptive to have somebody slicing back to you for your topspin? My thing is, I don't know how many people have seen Rafael Nadal play live, because Nadal in 3 dimensions looks a lot different than Nadal on TV. Because I think Nadal is the most disruptive player, because he's constantly changing his spins, right? People make a big deal out of the fact that he hits lots of heavy topspin to the backhand, but they don't make a big deal out of the fact that he sometimes drives it, and he sometimes loops it, and he sometimes, changes it a different way, because I see his opponents finding it very difficult to get on balance. And what's the magic of the Federer versus Nadal rivalry is that Federer is the very best there's ever been at getting on balance. So it's a classic matchup between those things. But now, here's the way people think. People think, I either need to overpower them, or I need to out-consistent them, out-rally them. But really, there are 3 other ways to win. By pressuring their time and space. You can do that by coming to the net. You can do that by taking the ball early. You can do that by going further back, by being the one who decides what's the rhythm of the rally. Okay? Or you can pressure their movement, which means you might hit a drop shot here and a deep cross court there. You might pull them off the court and then follow up with a deep ball to the other side. Does all that make sense? Okay, so when you make people run, do you want to make them run more or less?
More.
Okay, so you kids know about geometry? Who knows geometry? Anybody?
Karen does. Sophie does.
Have you taken some geometry? You know about triangles? Okay, all right. So if first I hit the ball here, which circle should I hit to make them run the farthest? That one. Because it's the hypotenuse of the triangle.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So deep, short angles create more movement. Was that the signal? Was that the cloud?
Yeah.
The cloud horn?